Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. I just finished the Divine Comedy by Dante. Did I abandon all hope, or did I make it to paradise? Let's find out. Welcome to Whiskey and Literature. I'm your host, Captain Mike, and I'm reading and reviewing 52 books in 52 weeks in 2023. This is my 40th book review of the year so far, The Divine Comedy by Dante. And before we get to the book, let's talk about the author. Dante Alighieri. He was born in 1265, died in 1321. He was an Italian writer, poet, and philosopher. He and his works were so important. He is called the father of the Italian language because he wrote his works in Italian instead of Latin, which made it more accessible to the general public. All right, quick specs and stats about the Divine Comedy. It was started in 1308, finished in 1321. My copy has 893 pages. I didn't listen to this at all on Audible, and this was a translation by John Ciardi. Quick word about the style of the Divine Comedy. We have 14,233 lines divided among 3 cantica. Each cantica is subdivided into 33 cantos with a 3-line verse scheme. This was written in first person, and we deal with a lot of the sciences. Astronomy, math, a spherical Earth with time zone implications, and gravity. Some of the other major themes are punishment, redemption, forgiveness, and the nature of God. Okay, there were a number of characters in the Divine Comedy. The 2 main ones are just the author, the poet himself, Dante, and Virgil, who wrote the Aeneid. Okay, some brief words about the plot. Dante, he's having a bad day until he is rescued by Virgil and they travel to the underworld. And when I say bad day, I mean that Dante recognizes that his life has gone astray. Virgil, he guides and protects him through the Inferno and Purgatorio. Beatrice takes over for Virgil in Paradiso, and then Bernard takes him to the point of light. Okay, Inferno. What is Inferno? It is the sinner seeing sin for what it is. Did you know that there are 3 types of sin? The self-indulgent, the violent, and the malicious. There are 3 main divisions within Dante's hell, and there are more subdivisions within each division. Indulgent has lust, gluttony, avarice, and anger. Then there's the violence, and that's against one's neighbor, against one's self, and against God and nature. Then we have the malicious, and that's fraud and treachery. And as we descend, we further distinguish and divide. The idea is to have these sinners acknowledge and face their sins, even if they have to do it upside down or backwards. Okay, let's just discuss one of the cantos, number 19. Simoniacs. They're the sellers of ecclesiastical favors. They are upside down in livid stone. We have popes, priests, friars, people who sold the holy office and favors. So they are literally head down, encased in stone, just their calves sticking up, and their feet are burning. They are aflame. We have mentioned in this canto Pope Boniface, Dante's enemy number 1. Inferno, it's where sinners who are not worthy to be in God's presence are sent. Indeed, they don't even have the desire to be in God's presence, hence eternal punishment. Let's talk about my thoughts of the Divine Comedy. And let's start with the opening line of the Inferno. Midway in our life's journey, I went astray from the straight road and woke to find myself alone in a dark wood. I'm reading 52 of the greatest books of all time this year. The greatest thing about reading these books is when I find that I can apply them to myself. I do feel this opening line of the poem. I feel like the scales have been removed from my eyes when I made the decision to leave the Mormon faith. And I understand that to quite a few, if not all Mormons, I would appear to have gone astray. When I started this reading schedule this year, all of these 52 books, I really felt like the Divine Comedy was the most intimidating book on my shelf. I mean, just look at it. It is actually a pretty scary book. And I don't mean the picture. I just mean you open it, you read it, you see the annotations, you see the verse style, you see the commentary. It's just pretty foreign to a lot of pretty much every book I've ever read in my entire life. And this is the 11th greatest book of all time. So it just missed being out in the top 10 by one book. And turns out it is not the most difficult book that I have read this year, though at some points were pretty difficult to understand. I haven't read any other translations of Dante, but I feel like if you want to study or read the Divine Comedy, I can really recommend this version. It is super detailed. In fact, each chapter has a heading, and then you have the chapter, and then you have some footnotes at the end. So you tell them what you're going to tell them. You tell them, and then you tell them what you just told them. This is the way. And I do love a book that has some good pictures and maps. And here we have a map of Inferno as we descend into the bowels of hell. And then as we go through Purgatorio, and then we have this diagram of paradise. And I think it's pretty well done. I think if you're going to read the Divine Comedy, you should take a few weeks. You should read about Dante before you begin this book. Why did he have such animosity towards the Pope and others that he wrote into the story? Why did he have Virgil as his guide? Read the headings of each canto. Read all of the footnotes. I think the more you understand Dante and what he's trying to tell you, the more you'll appreciate the book. Honestly, my recommendation is just read the Inferno. Deep dive it. Enjoy it. Revel in the torture porn as you descend to the bowels of hell. Certainly, much less happens in Paradiso, and it's a bit preachy. Just skip it. All in all, I'm happy to have read the entire work, and I can see myself going through in the future the Inferno and reading it again and deep diving it. So I think this is worthy to have on your shelf. So if you dare, pick it up. All right, guys, that's it, and on to the star rating. And I judge all the books that I read this year on 5 criteria. 6 if I listen to it on Audible, and I did not listen to this at all on Audible. And let's go. Initial response. How do I feel as soon as I finished the book? I gave it a 3. Recommendation. How likely am I to recommend the book? I gave it a 4. Style. Did I enjoy the writing style? It got a 5. Plot structure. How engaged was I in the story? A 4. Characters. Were they relatable, believable, engaging? Also a 4. Okay, so that's 20. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. So 4.0 stars for the Divine Comedy by Dante. And I think that's a pretty appropriate star rating for this book. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. If you enjoyed the video, like it, it's free. Subscribe to see more of my content. This year, again, I'm reading 52 books in 52 weeks, and I'm reading and reviewing them. And the links to those are in the description below. Feel free to check those out. I will be adding to them as I complete those reviews this year. I also do whiskey reviews, so if you're into that, feel free also to check it out. But for right now, you guys know what to do. Turn the page and stay thirsty, my friends. Cheers.